Hey guys, Bryce Tubbs here. I'm super excited to film this podcast episode of Tales of a Bookkeeper. This is our second episode. So I brought on Janine. She's been in business for extremely long amount of time. She's seen it all, the good, the bad, the ugly. So I wanted to be able to kind of share some expertise with you guys and bring it to you live. Now, if you're watching this thing live, go ahead and type in hashtag Team Live so we know that the people there we can have you ask questions. We can answer them for you. If you're watching this on the replay, write in hashtag team replay. And also, if we're not able to answer one of your questions, maybe you've seen this like after the fact, write hashtag connect if you want for either me or Janine to connect with you to answer some questions you might have about your business. And then finally, if you want to see if we can help you grow your business inside of the paid mentorship program, go ahead and click on the link inside the description either above or below this video to book a call with us to see if we can help you out. Cool. So, Janine, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I think the biggest thing that we were talking about was first how to navigate difficult client communications where clients are extremely stressed out. That's kind of been the main topic I've been hearing. For those who don't know, like we just recently came out of tax season, but as a result of that, some people are not able to do things in a timely manner, and now they're spazzing out after the fact. So today we're going to be talking about what to do in that case. And before we even go into that, Janine, I know that we were talking about, one of your main marketing channels is presentations. So basically speaking events that you utilize to grow your business. Maybe can you talk about like, I know in March you had a really big month. How much did you make from your presentations in March?
Well, Bryce, thank you again for having me and doing this presentation with me. I would have to say, and after looking at my final revenue count for the month of March, directly tied to the presentation, which was a QuickBooks walkthrough, basically a really high overview of how to use QuickBooks online. I had four clients sign up, and the total revenues from that was, I believe that one was like 4,000.
Okay.
So four
Wow.
clients, each of them purchased a consultation package of about $1,000 each. One was about maybe 750. So give or take about three to $4,000 just for those total. So like over that package period.
Wow. So, I mean, that's really good.
That's pretty decent. And
Yeah.
honestly, that was a really good month. I'm going to share with you that's not been the norm. However, I do these presentations quite often, and I believe that given that it was held right here in the middle of tax time and bringing up a topic of QuickBooks and how to navigate QuickBooks is really it was a timely opportunity for people to get triggered by what they needed to do during this time.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean that's one thing that we've been really focused on, and it's funny because you said like it's abnormal. I mean, we have only been working together for about 70 days so far, so I mean that.
You and
Uh,
I, yeah, we've been working together since right around February, I believe. I don't remember exact date, but it was right about the end of February where I decided to come on board and join your coaching team and really help me focus on some of the marketing things that I can do, marketing avenues and strategies that I can implement.
mm. Funny things. This is the surprise topic I was telling you about. So beforehand, we kind of talked about what we're going to talk about today, but surprise topic. I was going through my notes and I was trying to find a picture for you to put on the thumbnail of the YouTube video.
Uh
And I
oh.
looked at our conversation. Do you know when the first day we ever spoke together was?
Hold on. I'm going to tell you what day I think it was. I'm going to take a guess. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. May, April, March, February. I believe that our very first conversation was either February 6th or February 13th. And I could tell you more specifically if I look at my actual
Correct.
notes.
Incorrect.
Incorrect. Oh, all right. No, no, that's it. So you now I gotta go look it up. I actually have a notebook. I have a dedicated notebook for all of our
Well, here's
February.
the trick, though. Here's the trick. It wasn't when you think it was because for those of you watching, so one thing when you're in business, it's all about follow up, right?
Yeah.
Everything is about follow up. I spoke to Janine. I sent her a message on Facebook on March 14th, 2021.
March 14th in 2021?
Yeah,
2021.
crazy. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's It's really because I didn't recognize your profile because you didn't have a profile picture on it. But I was like
Oh,
looking through there, and yeah, it's so for those who business a lot of times as you're dealing with like more sophisticated business owners, like it's the right decision, but sometimes in their life they're maybe not in a place to kind of recognize it or like really understand, fully what how it can help them, right? Now, as you get better at marketing, of course, you condense that time frame down so it doesn't take you as much time. But it's just part of the game is follow up, follow up, follow up. Now, hopefully, if you're inside of like a structured program, if you have someone who can show you to do it, like your follow up sequence is a lot better and a lot more like robust and eloquent, so it doesn't feel like you're kind of like bothering people, right? But I think that's just a good kind of place to go because I think that you were saying like in the past week you've had a number of people who are doing like they were just kind of reaching out to you in like kind of a weird way. Tell me more about with the client work. Like I think you fired a client this week.
I did fire a client this week. It's very heartbreaking. I hate to fire people. I truly, I want to help everybody, and it's clearly obvious that you can't help everyone. And I think the main topic that I'm learning this year is the terms managing expectations on both her part and my part, and communications. So those are two concepts that we're working really heavily with. And this particular client, she was one of the clients that had reached out to me after the QuickBooks presentation, hired me for QuickBooks training, and I'd had a couple of opportunities to work with her, and then she disappeared. And when I say disappeared, meaning she just, dropped off the calendar. She didn't follow up to respond to a couple of my emails and phone calls. She said she got really busy. She did respond to one email finally and said, "Hey," or a phone call and said, "Hey, can you do a recording of yourself showing me how to do my my categorizing and my banking feeds?"
Mm,
And so I did. I recorded this using a tool called Loom. I recorded about maybe 5 minutes or so, basically how to go over her banking, and sent that to her, but then didn't hear back from her until last week. So it was almost 6 weeks from when I heard from her. But then literally she reached out to me last week and presented me with a complex topic, in a tax topic that I wasn't familiar with. And the part that where it became difficult is that her expectation is that I could produce something literally overnight that I could not. And it happens a lot, but the problem is that she's 4 years behind in her tax preparation. And so she's clearly experiencing quite a bit of internal stress, wanted something done right now. Oh, it's not that hard for you. Don't you know how to just plug those numbers in? And the thing is that clients don't understand that, when you get a tax return and your tax preparer has performed all of the things that they go through, or reading all the material, it takes time. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes for us to be able to produce a tax return for you. Um, and her expectation of what I could do and what I can't do for not only her personal taxes, but three separate business returns, S corporation returns, and implementing a concept called carryover. And
mm,
so, again, managing expectations and helping clients understand this is what could conceivably happen, and this is probably what's going to happen, and meeting that deadline that you've set now, was very, I think, was very upsetting for her because she wanted something that she couldn't get right now.
mm,
I bet I did my best at helping her understand how things normally work. I also consoled her and let her know that I have a team of professionals that will help her with these letters that she's getting from the IRS that are really scary for her. And I think that she was already past the point of being able to hear me.
mm,
She became really upset with me. So, as far as like managing or dealing, or like how to still nurture a relationship with someone who is clearly on the ledge about things, just being really calm with her and trying to, you know, let her know that we've got this thing figured out, or we have a team that's going to help her through this. I'm not leaving you alone. I'm not going to leave you stranded. So, again, I do my best and I've been really working on being able to communicate with clients that are struggling, and letting them know that I'm on their side and I will do whatever I need to do to come up with a solution for them. I think that's one strategy for dealing with difficult clients.
uh, yeah, Because I mean that's interesting. Because like, it's not just accounting clients. A lot of people don't really understand. So like, some people just create problems and like emergencies for themselves with poor
Hmm.
planning and just poor thought process. You know what I mean? Like I get that all the time, like, especially like with accounting, right?
Hmm.
Accounting and even for the mentorship program, where someone's like, I'm not really having any troubles in my life right now, but I'm thinking about starting the business, like procrastination zone. Then all of a sudden they either like lose their job or they don't get that promotion or something doesn't go a wire, and now they're like in this like time crunch to like do stuff, and it's just very interesting to kind of see that.
I find it happens a lot in this industry, and what I tie it to is that, I mean, clearly finances and money and budgeting and how to navigate all of that, it's not something that is normally taught in schools. And then we become adults, we get jobs, we get our first paycheck, and then they say, "Oh, well, now you need to go file taxes." And like nobody really sits down and helps you understand what that looks like. And then you complex that you make that more complex by starting a business, and then that business has tax returns, and you know that you've made some money, but you don't understand what the implications are when you've made money. Okay, so now I
Mhm.
have to pay taxes, and I don't know what these tax forms mean, and I don't know what this technology and these terms and these words that these accounting professionals are using to explain things to me. I just don't know. So I think that's part of why people just kind of like stick their head in the sand. I think there's a lot of areas in our life that we procrastinate, and then things just get more complicated as time goes by.
Mhm.
It's better always to address things immediately when you can, clearly. And dealing with money and finances is always a very sensitive topic for people. So, again,
Yeah.
I think this gives me a great opportunity to coax them out of that shell,
Mhm.
kind of help alleviate some of that stress and anxiety that they're feeling, especially when they have not filed their taxes.
Yeah. So I think one thing we can do so this doesn't happen next year, maybe we can make some either video content or things you can send to people before they have that meltdown, especially if like they haven't filed tax in
Yes,
XYZ time. Like let's make that part of our system so that they're aware of it. Even if they don't listen to it, it's in the subconscious. So we can actually have those be like anchors we can call upon inside of the conversation you have with them.
I
Right.
think
So as
that's
long as
yeah, it's
they
definitely a
yeah.
great idea. I'm also thinking about, or I've thought about having uh, doing a tax clinic. So, like right around
Mm,
November of last year, I had thought about starting a clinic, but I didn't get it put together and everything in time to be able to do it. I wanted to do it actually in person. So, I have a version of the tax clinic in a video or a virtual portion, and then I have a segment of the tax clinic that I was wanting to do in person because I really wanted people to bring their actual paperwork to me. But my thinking is that having something like a tax clinic available for people to kind of log in and join me, and we'll go over a lot of their questions beforehand
mm.
would be an idea of something that I'd like to promote and create for folks.
Yeah, because I mean that's very similar. Like on the online space, we're doing like they're called like challenges or master classes, right? Where you're basically like setting up like almost like a class. You're basically pre-selling it for XYZ time, and then just yeah, we can definitely talk about that, like how to structure that.
I think
Because I
that
mean
would
that
help people with a lot of the stress.
yeah, yeah, and plus not even just the stress too, because right, because like part of the stuff when you're running your business is also about making it easier for you, 2 months, 3 months, 3 years down the road, right? So
Hmm.
if you have less these conversations where you're less aggravated with like someone being in that kind of fear state, it will make it a lot easier for you to manage those conversations. So yeah, okay. This is why I really like talking with you. That's why we even turned to the podcast. I mean, because there's so many different like cool things that you can do due to the fact that you want to build a brand, you want to do these speaking engagements, and you're like, I just want to make some money. I'm just trying to like really get to my life to a certain spot. I want to grow my business. I want to impact my community. I want to have like really good relationships with my clients. It's just so much easier to like grow that way.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so that's cool. And then yeah, because I remember you were saying something about like the reason why you're starting your business is because something about like it was like corporate America and like the taking time for yourself. Or tell me more about that.
Can you rephrase that question for me, please?
Yeah, we were on a coaching call in the last week, I think, and you were saying we were talking about like overwhelm and like how taking time for ourselves is really important, especially like when we have a job. and that was the main reason why you wanted to get your business off the ground, so you didn't have to go back to, corporate.
Hmm. So, what would you identify as like, what is the question?
The question is, tell me about the story about like what was that like back when you were there? Like,
Oh,
yeah, because you told me a
yeah.
story. You said there was something that you were doing. I don't want. I'm kind of speaking in code, so I don't ruin the story.
Oh,
You
got you. Okay,
know.
I understand. Hey, you know what? Sometimes I tell people you have to talk to me like a 5-year-old because I'm not dumb, but dropping a few hints. Um, I like that somebody left a message that says, Janine, I really love to see you live. I don't know who you are, but I wish I knew who you were. But thank you. I'm glad that you can see me live, and I appreciate that. My story about how I left corporate. Now, it didn't happen overnight. And I'll share that with a lot of you is that what you see today is literally 20 years in the making, about 20 years, give or take. And it takes time. That doesn't mean it's going to take 20 years for you to start a business or grow a business or become successful, but a lot of things do. Now, for me, coming into deciding to do accounting, I discovered accounting taxes, literally started with doing my own taxes. And again, this is one of those situations where I got one of my, got a job and okay, they give me this thing called a W-2 form. And well, what do I do with this? Well, then I went to a tax preparer, and at the time, and I'm not going to tell you what year it was, but you'll take a guess because it only cost me $25 to get that return processed at the time. So clearly, it was not yesterday. Um, and I thought it was somewhere between $25 to $40 to get my general individual tax return prepared. And when I paid that person to do that tax return for me, at that time I said, I know how to do, I can do this myself. And now, given there's a lot of information that you need to learn when preparing a tax return, but I said to myself immediately in that moment, this is what I said: I can help people with this. I said, clearly, this is something that I can grasp the concept of. And that's how I started doing taxes for other people.
Mhm.
And then from there, I was working doing another job in a different industry. I was doing engineering, and somebody had actually installed QuickBooks on the computer, and I found it. And I said, "Oh, I like this. This is really super cool." And I wanted to play with the QuickBooks software. And because it had to do with money, and I also was familiar at that time using another Intuit product called Quicken and
Mhm.
learning about how to develop budgets, how to develop financial goals. And I really liked that software. And I said, oh, I could show people how to use this. So it's always been a little bit of this thing where I get introduced to something and I get really excited by it. I start playing with it. And then I start thinking about other ways that I can help people with these things.
Mhm.
And then, of course, now at this time, I've had full-time jobs, I've had part-time jobs. I finally decided at one point, this is a very long story, so I'm going to make this part a little shorter because we can get into some of the details about this of how I decided to just jump ship corporate and go into business for myself. I did actually start my business doing bookkeeping about 2012, but from about 2008 to 2012 I was working doing some contract work for other bookkeepers and CPAs. I wasn't like, I didn't
Mhm.
like start my business, but I did decide that I like doing this stuff. I like learning this stuff. I like money. I like understanding how it works. I love helping people understand how to use money and how to budget. So a lot of these concepts were very tied in, and to me, helping people was really a major component of it because for me, I'm a person that likes to share. I like other people to know how to do things or at least come to the point where I can help them understand certain aspects of it, and then they can decide, well, that's great, Janine, that you know how to do this, so you can do it. So that happens a lot for me.
Mhm.
And it just came to the point where working a full-time job, commuting, I live in Southern California, and getting on the freeway and driving 30, 40 minutes, maybe even more, up to an hour, hour and a half commuting, is very exhausting, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I got to a place where I said, you know what? I want to work the way I want to work. I want to do the things that I want to do. I want to help the people that I want to help the way that I want to help them. And one of the best ways that I can do that is starting my own bookkeeping business, really taking this 100% and going and finding clients. And one of my very first clients after I had made that decision I shared this with you, Bryce, was that I walked into a shop that
Yeah.
was I walked into a shop. Now, mind you, I was actually doing some bookkeeping for a woman who had found me through this nonprofit organization that I do some work for, and she wasn't there the day. I wouldn't call. I mean, I'd still call her a client because she was a client, but I didn't price it right. I didn't figure it out right. I started off by charging her $25 an hour, thinking, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. And unfortunately, that particular job, um, that turned out to be a really long job, by the way. It was my first experience with a cleanup.
Hmm.
And if you want to do the math, at the $25 an hour, I billed her almost $3,000, and she lost it literally. But I didn't know what I was, how to bill or how to charge or how to assess. So I learned a lot from that. But the one day that I was attending to go meet with her to do some work for her, she's two doors down from one of my long-term clients that's been my client for over 10 years now, or 10 years now. I just walked into his shop. He was unpacking, literally taking things out of the box and putting them up on the shelves. It was his very first day. And I walked into the door and I said, "Who's doing your bookkeeping?" And he said, "I don't need a bookkeeper." I said, "Okay, here's my card."
Yeah.
And he says, "I don't understand what a bookkeeper is for, but I don't think I need one right now." But I gave him my card and I just laughed, and I got my art supplies that I was planning on using for another project that I was working on. And then I, just went back over to two doors down to work with the other woman. But this gentleman literally called me back about, no, I'm sorry, I called him again, like you were talking about follow up. Follow up is
Hmm.
super, super important. So I called this guy back. It was February of 2000. I mean, so it was February of 2013 that I first met him. It was June of 2013 that I gave him a call and I said, "Hey, how's the shop doing? How is business? How are sales? Oh, business is picking up. We're getting really good sales." He's working with a university that offers art classes, so a lot of his customers are coming from the university. He said, "Yeah,
Hmm.
things are picking up. Things are doing really well. What do you think about starting with some bookkeeping?" "I don't think I need bookkeeping." "Okay, that's good. Well, I'll check in on you." I think maybe I called back around August. I don't remember, but I know that he finally called me in September and said, "I think I need a bookkeeper. I'm not sure, but I think I do." He said, "Can we set up a time to talk?" And I tried to meet with him in September. It was like mid-September, but I finally made an appointment and we met in October. And he says, "Yeah, I need a bookkeeper now. Can you come over?" And so I did. And he's been my client for 10 years now. So that's one of my longest term clients, and his business has grown exponentially. I've helped him with a lot of things in developing different types of strategies, not just his bookkeeping,
Hmm.
helping him with marketing ideas, helping him come up with service options in addition to the products to help him generate revenues that weren't necessarily going to generate sales tax. So that's always interesting. But I helped him figure out different ways to diversify what he's offering to his customers and really create a great customer experience. And I'm going to end that part of that story right there because Bryce, I could literally talk for about 6 more days if you wanted me to.
Yeah.
Um,
'Cause I remember you were saying like that was a pretty good sized cleanup. Was that the 45 grand cleanup?
no, that one was not the 45 grand cleanup. That was the story, but kind of like how I started
Yeah.
coming to the idea
How
of
about
how I wanted to go corporate.
how about this
I'll
guy?
mention one more thing. I'll go to the $45,000 client,
Wait,
but
wait, pause.
you
Time,
wanted,
time, time. For
whoops,
the
sorry, time out.
$45,000 client, if you're watching this thing, type $45,000 cleanup, and we'll actually say that for the next one. Because I think that's a really long story. There's a lot of details inside of that. If you want us to send you a private copy of that, then go ahead and write down 45K cleanup, and we'll send it to you personally. Like, 'cause I don't
Oh
know if you
yeah,
want to
that
actually
was a
release
big
that
one.
one publicly, because that was a lot of detail inside of it.
There was a lot of detail everywhere, honestly.
You always in every one of the podcasts, I think that could be one game that we do. It's like, we tell a story and then we maybe like talk about like the next story or another big story that happened, and then that'll keep people wanting to come back for more.
Okay,
Right.
sounds good.
Yeah, because I like the details of the story because I want to kind of give people more of like a realistic view of like what actually goes into this thing. Because sometimes people talk about like they're really afraid, they know exactly what to do to start, but it's kind of like business is not necessarily as scary as what most people think it is. It's just they don't really have a realistic picture.
Business is scary. No, I'm just kidding. All right, don't listen to this guy. Business can get really scary. But what I will tell you is it's really important to find a tribe of people that are supportive, honestly, because it can get scary. But it's all about you having a team of support that can help you, someone who's going to encourage you and say, hey, you know what? I know you're encountering this. Let's brainstorm. Let's flesh this out. Let's figure it out together. Business can be scary if you're trying to do it all by yourself. So,
That is true. It's like when you start something new, right? There's all these different habits that we've kind of developed from our corporate life, right? And it's almost called like the great transition, right? Because there's just
mhm.
different habits, right? You're used to waking up at a certain time, going to bed at a certain time. You're used to putting out a certain amount of energy. You're used to knowing things a little bit more. Like things are just very consistent when you're working a job, right? Versus when you're starting a business, when you're first getting started, there's just all these different unknowns you have to learn, right? Like you have to learn how to price your services. You have to learn how to like do marketing, how to do the sales, how to actually talk to your clients when you're onboarding them. Like what's your good workflow process, right? And it's just like if you're trying to learn all those different things on your own, it's actually funny. Sometimes I hear people like when it comes to like mentorship and like different like programs and stuff, they're like, I want to kind of do it all myself. And it's like they're kind of surprised when they get people who come to their consultation calls and they elicit that same outcome. Their clients say, I want to try this stuff on my own. And that's not 100% for everybody, but it's not that it's magic. It's just that whatever is the thing that you do in your business, how you approach your business, is generally what you accept from other people.
Mhm.
So if for example, let's say that you're gonna like buy like a car, right? If you're like everything is lining up, you see no red flags, it's the perfect decision, but you kind of want to give yourself a week or 45 hours or 5 million years, right? That's generally the objection that you're going to let.
And you're frozen if you.
Because wow, strange. Zoom froze. Yeah, I think something froze on my end, but it's one of those things. Looks like YouTube is streaming. Facebook is sending data. So one of my Facebook accounts, yeah. So the group is still showing. Looks like it's some technical difficulties for a second, guys, but it looks like
Okay.
we're good there. But yeah, all that to say is the reason why a community is going to cut down your learning time is because you don't have to go and like try and figure things out for as many years as possible. Like I know we talk about how Janine was at 5 grand a month after being in business for so long, which is a really good amount of money. Because that's hard for most people to do. But then once she got around the community, she got a different kind of mindset, a different way of looking at the world, different frames. That's when she got to 10,200. I mean, she has a deal on the table right now. I mean, you're the guy in Rwanda. That's a really
Oh, yeah,
huge
that one.
deal,
Oh my goodness.
right? I mean, at the end of the
I got a paid trip to the other side of the world possibly coming up.
uh-huh.
You might be seeing broadcast live with giraffes and lions and elephants in the background.
If you get that client, that's gonna be cool. So if some of you guys don't know, Janine had this lead. Was it from LinkedIn that the person came from, or where did the person come from?
This particular client or potential client prospect came from a presentation that I attended on succession planning, exit strategies.
Mhm.
And so he looked my business up during during the presentation and actually booked an appointment on my calendar before the presentation was over.
Wow.
So that was for people wanting to have better strategies in place for succession planning or leaving their business or how to leave it out, leave the business to another person if something happens to them or a partner dies or things like that. So
I think it's funny. The more we talk, so for those watching, every person is going to have a slightly different methodology of getting clients that works really good for them. So, for example, For me, my methodology was like LinkedIn and email marketing. I have another student inside the program. Her name is Millie, and she does really well with letters. So like literally physical letters inside the mail. So she takes all the templates we give for like LinkedIn and email, and she literally puts it inside the mail. And for every about 300 emails she sent, sorry, letters she sends, she gets about anywhere between about $4,000 to about $6,000 in cleanup fees just from those letters. So I was kind of being hard headed because I was trying to like push it more online marketing. And then one day I was just like, if this is consistently working for you, let's just focus on that. And that's how she grew her business so fast, was just from focusing on what works for her. So like Janine, I mean, your superpower might just be like you need to go to as many of these like different presentations as you possibly can, interact with every single person there, see if you can be a paid sponsor, even if it's not a lot of money you spend, like see if you can be like give the speaker like $50 or $100 to let you speak for a couple minutes inside of like another event that they're hosting. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
let's kind of look at that like really.
I think that's one of my greatest leveraging tools, Bryce, is my speaking events and my trainings.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, especially because you have so many different services that you offer that, and it's so for those who don't know, like Janine has a lot of different services. So Janine does tax, we call it tax planning, tax strategy. I'm always like interchanging that, but it's very strange to me.
Um, I think that it's okay to use tax planning and tax strategy interchangeably for the most part. Yeah.
I think in
Tax
terms of
preparation, clearly it starts from tax preparation, but then once I've sat down with a client and we've finished up wrapping up their taxes, normally I've had conversations with them about what they could have done differently and some things that they could have taken advantage of and implemented in that particular year versus what we can do
hmm.
going forward. So, strategy planning, I think it's
Well,
interchangeable.
so interesting thing with marketing, right? So words are incredibly important. So I would probably split test it with some of your clients. I wonder if some people, not a lot of people want to make a plan, but everyone wants to be strategic.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if we play around with that title, at least like in the way we do our marketing and the way we do some of the lead gen. I wonder if that's gonna have a big difference.
Possibly. I think people are more familiar with the term tax planning,
Mhm.
though. But I think using the word strategy or a strategic plan also helps.
Yeah, so that's gonna be really important to test that. Let's kind of see. Yeah. Okay, so that'd be cool to kind of test out because that's one thing that we're working on right now is a little bit of like tax strategy, tax planning types of clients, like doing a lot of lead gen for that. Um, That's be really interesting to see. Now, hopefully, you guys enjoy this. Like we said, if you guys want to learn more about the $45,000 cleanup, go ahead and write down 45K cleanup inside the comment section below. We'll be sure to send you the video when it's delivered. And thank you so much for your time today, guys. This has been Bryce Tubbs and Janine. Can you signing off? Super excited. Where do people go to learn more about you, Janine?
The best place to find me, either LinkedIn or my very modest and humble website right now, advancedbookkeepingconcepts.com. I could supposedly type it somewhere for people to see.
Yeah, you
You
can.
can definitely find me on LinkedIn, Janine Morel on LinkedIn. You can also find my business. I have a business page, but again, right now everything is super humble and super simple at this point, and
Uh,
not really expanded things out yet.
uh, Okay, awesome, and that's interesting, right? So you've been in business for this long, and you're still calling your website humble. It's just one of those things where it's like certain things are important, certain things are not.
Getting clients' work done, super important. Playing with my website, as much as I absolutely love, love, love doing it, and I always think of great new things to do, it's sometimes difficult to get it on the calendar because real clients have real issues. So yeah, the website is just really humble right now.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time. Once again, I'm
You're
super
very welcome.
excited for that. Yeah.
Thank you for your time today, Bryce, as well. Thank you
Okay.
for having me here.
Yeah, so I think next week we'll talk about the 45K cleanup. We'll talk a little bit about like the different services you offer and kind of continue to mind map that out. And then yeah, probably another story that might come up. So this is once again has been Tales of a Bookkeeper. I'm Bryce Tubbs, Janine Morel. Super excited for you guys. We'll talk to you inside the next one. We'll see you soon. Have a good one.
Okay, thank you.